And for today's spiritual meditation, I'd like to call your attention to 1 Kings chapter 19 and verses 11 through 13. This is the King James Version. And the word of God for the people of God reads, "And he said, Go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains and brake in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake, and after the earthquake a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire a still small voice. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entering of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, What doest thou here, Elijah? What doest thou here, Elijah? So many things that happened. It was the wind. It was the rocks. It was an earthquake. It was a fire. But the Lord was not in any of those. He was in a still, small voice. You know, God often speaks to us in still, small voice. And it's important that we quiet ourselves so that we are able to hear him when he speaks to us. Because sometimes when you allow the things that are happening around you to drown out his voice, you miss out on a lot of opportunities. You may even miss out on protection from a disastrous situation. I'm sure most of us that at least are over a certain age are very familiar with September 11th, 2011. The bombing of the World Trade Center. On Meditation Moments with B, we had the opportunity to hear from Selena Long, who happens to be So Unique Concierge, LLC. She is the founder and CEO of that business. I would encourage you to go on over to Clubhouse. It's the Clubhouse app. Look for the Be Positive Club. That's BEA. And look for Meditation Moments with B. That was recorded on March the 17th. And you can hear the interview that we had with her in its entirety. But one of the things that really stuck out, really impacted upon my spirit, was her testimony about her experience firsthand with 911. You see, she was living in New York City at that particular time, and she also happened to be working inside of a law firm that was located in the World Trade Center. Her hours generally were from, I think, about midnight until 7 o'clock in the morning. And so her boss had come to her before her shift had ended and said, would she be willing to do some overtime? And she said, she told her, well, let me get back to you. And she said about 6 o'clock in the morning, right before time for her to get off, she heard a voice say for her to go home. So home she went, and she did have a lunch engagement with a friend of hers about 11:45, I believe she said. But when she went home, she found that she had overslept, and she was in a hurry to get to her lunch engagement. And she also noticed that she had about 37 missed phone calls. And while she was hurrying to get ready, the phone rang again. And she picked it up, and her friend told her, said, where are you? She asked. And she said, well, what do you mean? I'm here, at my place, and I'm getting ready to go. I've got a luncheon that I need to get to. And her friend simply said, turn on the television. And she said, well, what station? And her friend said, any station that you want to. And it was then that she saw that the World Trade Center, the one that she was in, had a plane that flew directly into it. And I believe that she is here today because of the fact that she listened to that still small voice. So my recommendation to you, my friends, is to stay in tune, stay in connection with God. Because if we have ears to hear what the Spirit of God is saying, and we listen to that still small voice, it could be the difference between life and death. This is Be Positive of the No Bad News podcast, and I am wishing you and yours a be positive day and week.